Okay, yeah, I got started in this because after police work, I wanted to do something important, something that made a difference in my community. I wanted to be able to help, even in retirement, my public safety in Fort Worth, Texas. And since I no longer had a badge and a gun, I knew the only way to do that would be to influence public policy and repeal our our prohibition of all drugs. And to do that, I started with the Drug Policy Reform of Texas in 1997, speaking to Rotaries, Kiwanis once, twice a month. And although that was great, it was enjoyable activity, I really want to speak about it more. So that's when I developed this T-shirt a year later, so that I could talk about this issue 3 and 4 times every day when somebody would ask me, why do cops want to legalize pot? From there, I said, to really get this thing going, if I ride my horse across America, I know that type of grand adventure would attract media, and so I rode from Georgia to Oregon, to Newport, Oregon, back in 2003, and indeed I got on television and some newspapers and whatnot, especially here in Oregon with the help of Sandy Burbank. And this has helped to publicize the issue that it's not just the leftover hippies or whoever, that solid law enforcement professionals also agree that this war on drugs, of course, has been a dysfunctional, destructive, immoral failure, as bad as Jim Crow and slavery, and that we need to end it and bring these dangerous drugs under the control and regulations of the government. Eliminate the job, which nearly 1 million teenagers have today, to sell these dangerous drugs off sidewalks. You've heard since ever that, we need to think about our children. If we really want to protect our children, legalize, regulate all drugs. No child should have the option to sell drugs off sidewalks. It's immoral in my opinion. And after riding my horse across America, I went to Washington to act as basically an education specialist, essentially a lobbyist, but not really legally in terms of the laws, but just educating Congress that we need to repeal federal prohibition of all drugs, starting with cannabis, and empower the states to choose their own path. And that's what I work on now 24/7, meeting with all 535 offices in the Congress. Also, of course, working in coordination with others there, like Aaron Houston of MPP, Keith Stroup of NORML, Bill Piper of the Drug Policy Alliance, the heavy hitters in DC. They are true lobbyists, and work with them to introduce the bill, and we expect to see it by about June of this year, which would repeal federal cannabis laws and empower the states by employing the 10th Amendment and letting states choose their own path. It was obvious to me as a patrol officer and also as a detective that the prohibition of cannabis was reducing our public safety, as my colleagues, especially in the 1980s, began spending their entire 12-hour shift, their free time, chasing cars, trying to find a baggie of pot under some kid's front seat in Michigan. And then as a detective, I saw, we are so horribly under-resourcing, trying to protect our little boys and girls, as my colleagues were flying around in helicopters trying to find green plants every fall. This was reducing our public safety and, of course, causing so much crime in terms of, when there was the only homicide I had in my entire 18 years was caused by a person who had a grow ops in their house, and some bad guys came in and they got into a gunfight and the guy got killed. I mean, it was not the marijuana that caused the problem. It was marijuana prohibition. And this is what most officers will admit in the privacy of their own home, without any cameras around, without any reporters or other officers. Because when I was riding my horse across America and you're stopping, you're out in the middle of nowhere, say between John Day and Prineville or something, those deputies will stop by and say, marijuana is just stupid. It's not worth our time. My 18 years, 0 calls for service generated by the use. We got better things to do than chase Michael Phelps and Willie Nelson. So if you can get cops alone, they'll tell you that, most of them, a majority. But at the command level, at the national level, they're fighting to keep prohibition going for one simple reason, and that is the money. We are making billions and billions of dollars chasing the weed, chasing the people who grow it, and we're also making money off from civil asset forfeiture, where we actually take cars, money, houses from people who are, in violation of the law. So for us, it's a cash cow on several levels. And that's why, like Jim Pasco said of the FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, I'm looking out for the paychecks of 326,000 FOP members. That's why I cannot agree to end prohibition. Yeah, I was at the dispensary for Mama back in 2008. I was impressed by, of course, one, it's much more like a lab. It's where people are preparing medicines in different forms. It's regular people doing regular work under good conditions. I went to a dispensary in Colorado Springs, Colorado, same thing, nice storefront, and then all very clean, proper, just like you'd almost be going to a pharmacy, except they actually grow the drug in the back of the shop there. And everybody's in here. What impressed me the most was everybody is gearing their efforts to improving the medicine, to improve the lives of the patients. I mean, it's basically all a bunch of Mother Teresa's as far as I'm concerned. And it's gratifying to see so many good people trying to help other people by sharing medicine, by sharing recipes, by sharing their success or lack of success, so people can avoid one strain that doesn't work for their particular issue versus this one works great, so people switch. This is the way it should be, and that has always been impressing, made a good impression on me that in the main, almost to the 100%, everybody here is just trying to do good work. In fact, it was interesting because I testified before the legislature in Richmond, Virginia this year on a bill for medical marijuana and also to make it a civil infraction like a parking ticket. And even the Republican chairman of that committee said what should be done is that cannabis should be normalized so that the doctor can prescribe it without looking at a list of conditions approved by the legislature. Cannabis is as far as I know, is the only drug where the legislature sets a list of conditions that a doctor has to look at in order to approve it. As this Republican said, it should be normalized and put right in there like all the rest of them, so the doctor can prescribe it for what? Anything the doctor feels would be helpful. That's where I think we need to go across this country, is to normalize cannabis as something the doctors have full range of motion. So like a doctor today can prescribe OxyContin for your pain, or Vicodin, or Percocet, or Tylenol 3. The doctor does not need to look at a list approved by the legislature. That's where we need to go as the next step in the 2011 legislature in Salem, is to have it normalized. Get this whole idea, we got to have the legislature approve these conditions, just go to the end game, which is give them full range of motion and normalize cannabis for the doctors.
I had a little problem. One of my cameras got stolen. Okay. I says, Mike, do you know anybody there that can kind of give me a little hand or whatever? Oh my God, I have never been treated so well in my entire life by anybody, anywhere.
Good.
It was real police. It was like feeling like an American with the greatest police force in the world and all this other stuff. It was like, wow.
Okay, now I'm blushing.
No, you're doing the work that needs more done, because we have been the victims of the most massive amounts of crime that I think that's ever existed. We can't go to anybody. We get beaten and robbed. We can't go to the police. We have a home invasion. We can't go to the police.
You can now.
Well, in Portland we can't, because it ends up on the television, and then we have the home invaders come back, and we have other problems besides that. Law enforcement here.
They are making public your address?
Yes. In fact, Washington County up there does it regularly, puts it out on a website to where all the home invasions and different problems have happened with medical locations.
Who's in charge of that program?
Washington County.
Sheriff then?
Yeah. Yeah.
There should be people at the county commissioners meeting every week saying, this is stupid, this is counterproductive, what are you doing this for?
Now this is what I call medicine.